Welcome to the latest episode of Map's Journey, our podcast dedicated to exploring the experiences and challenges faced by individuals who experience attraction to minors. Today, Elliot will be speaking with our guest Emily, who will share her personal journey as a female minor-attracted person. While female MAPs have been understudied, and their experiences often overlooked, Emily's story highlights the importance of recognizing and supporting all individuals who experience this attraction. Emily speaks candidly about the challenges she faced as she struggled to understand her feelings, including feelings of isolation and suicidal ideation. However, by finding a supportive community, Emily was able to achieve a greater sense of acceptance and understanding. Her journey is a powerful reminder of the importance of creating a more compassionate and understanding society for all individuals, regardless of their attractions. Join us as we embark on this journey of exploration and learning, and let us continue to work towards a society where everyone is valued and supported.
Hey Emily, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I know you and I have been trying to get together to do this recording for a while now, but life happens.
Yeah, definitely.
So I thought we could just first start out with maybe when you first realized that you had this attraction, what that meant for you.
I would say I was probably about 13 or 14, like a younger teenager, and I noticed that some of the kids I was attracted to were significantly younger than me, and that wasn't changing much. But at the time, it didn't really faze me that much, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not an adult yet, so I'll probably just grow out of this, and it won't really be a big deal, and I just kind of forgot about it for a while, and I didn't really think it was a big deal at the time, but as I got older, that attraction kind of stayed the same. And it wasn't until I was in my late teens that I realized, oh wait, hey, I think I might be a pedophile. So that kind of threw me through a loop.
Yeah, do you consider yourself exclusive? Are you attracted to adults too?
I definitely consider myself exclusive. I'm not attracted to adults at all. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I know, at least for me, when I'm with my guy friends and all that stuff like that, it's sometimes, even though I am not exclusive, my primary attraction is to kids. So like, it's always so hard to participate in the conversation. Do you find that that's difficult for you too, or?
Yeah, definitely. Because of course, you have to make face to people, because if we're being real, it's not feasible to walk around and be out to everyone. But I do find it really difficult to relate to those conversations, and usually what I do is I just tell people that I'm asexual and that I'm just not attracted to anyone. So that kind of makes that a little bit more bearable and understandable for people.
Yeah, I actually wish I would have known the term asexual back when I was entering in the late teens, early 20s. Would have made it a lot easier. Now, if I said anything, I would probably have to say I was bisexual, because most of my friends know I do find females attractive. So it's like, okay, what else can I say? So, but yeah, that's actually something that I've considered doing with some of the friends I want to be more open to, but I just haven't built up the confidence yet to say it. But so, like, I know when I first met you, as with everyone else that hears that there are such things as female pedophiles, want to know, like, what's the difference, and like, how does it manifest different for you? Is it more often a emotional attraction, or is there a mixture of emotional and sexual, or like, how does it work for you?
I would say that it's definitely a mixture of emotional and physical attraction. I I find that it tends to lean more emotional, but
I know it's a big question, but yeah. So it's like, yeah, for me, mine's mostly emotional too, and I honestly think that for me, that is definitely why it's so easy for me to be anti-contact. It's like it's not a big drive for me, physical contact or the sexual attraction part. And so, and I think for most true minor attracted people, pedophiles, hebophiles, or whatever you want to call them, if they are, I think the emotional attraction does tend to be, the major thing. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's like they don't realize it manifests almost the same way as a regular attraction. Like there's the emotional, the romantic, but unlike every other attraction, like the physical aspect can never happen. So that's where the big difference is. And so, but yeah. So sorry, I threw a big question out there, but I know people wonder that. So I know also when we first met, you said that majority of your in real life friends are actually other female pedophiles. So like, how did that come to be?
um well, I suppose we should preface this with content warning for talk and thoughts of suicide, but I guess the best place to start is that my whole life it had always been something that bothered me, and it was the primary source of my depression and my fear and just lack of drive and stress. So much to the point that I got to the point where I felt like I was so much of a monster and that I didn't deserve to live, and all of those usual emotions that most of us go through when we feel alone and we feel like we don't have anyone to talk to about it. I decided one day that okay, well, this is it. I'm going to kill myself now. And the one night I was hanging out with one of my super close friends, and we decided we were going to go hit up some of the bars and clubs the next town over. So her and I, we get all dressed up, we go out, we party, we have a little bit of fun, and then we get back to town, and we had a few drinks, and so we decide that maybe she should just stay the night. So we're laying there in my bed, and she starts crying because she just broke up with her girlfriend, and then of course I start crying because I'm already sad because, well, she didn't know, but I had actually planned on killing myself the next day. And so she tells me about what she's going through, and then I decide, well, maybe since I have nothing to lose, I can come out to her and talk to her about it. And I told her that I was attracted to minors, and it makes me really sad and I don't know what to do. And then she just responds, "That's it? Me too." And so I was just totally thrown through a loop that there was someone, not only someone out there just like me, but it was one of my own close, very personal friends. So that was such a relieving and cathartic moment for me, because I thought that there was no hope. Um, I thought that I thought that there wouldn't be anyone who would ever understand or care. And then lo and behold, here, one of my closest friends is a map. And then she goes on to tell me that the rest of the friends in our friend group are also maps, save for maybe a handful of maybe like one or two people. So it was really crazy to know that that there were so many maps that I knew, and we just weren't out to each other yet. And I was like, so if you're all out to each other, how come you never came out to me?
Yeah.
And they were so worried that I would hate them, or that I wouldn't want to be friends with them anymore, or anything crazy like that. So, and we had been friends for, we had probably all been friends for like 8 years at that point. So it was really crazy to, it was really crazy to have that revelation.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like there's sometimes when I'm with some of my friends and it's depending on the conversation we're having or whatever, like you kind of want to say like maybe this person thinks the same way as I do, but you just don't want to take that leap. Oh, you're just so afraid. And so, yeah, it's great that you found that source of community right with people you've known for years. So, I know before we started recording this, you were talking about how you think maybe the reason why not too many female pedophiles like make themselves known is that you feel like it's not as big as deal for you guys and as with perhaps like what men go through.
Yeah, definitely. Although while I feel like it's just as common, and I feel like it functions exactly the same, I also feel like it's, to most of my female map friends, it doesn't seem to bother them as much, and it doesn't seem to ever really be that much in the forefront of their minds. And these are women who are mothers, aunts, things like that, and it still just never seems to bother them. And I think maybe that perhaps that is the only difference there. But I would otherwise say that I truly believe that it manifests and functions exactly the same way it does in men.
Do you think that because it's more generally accepted that women are around children more often, do you think that, I guess what I'm trying to say is like for a guy to, even if they have no intention of ever abusing, like, and they totally just enjoy the youthfulness of children and the innocence and all that stuff, most men can't just go up to a kid and just say, "Oh, you're so cute," and all that stuff. Whereas for a woman, it's not. And so maybe I think, my train of thoughts going as I'm talking. So, um, but like maybe with men, they're just so afraid. So it is such a huge deal for them. Like, whereas women, they can just express themselves how like most women do, and so there's not a lot of shame and guilt that happens. So maybe that's why it's not a huge deal for women.
Yeah, I would definitely say that perhaps you're on to something there. And to go further, I also want to add that when I'm in the presence of children, when I'm babysitting, things of that nature, there's kind of like this strange maternal feeling that comes over me that kind of like just makes all that other stuff go away. It it's like a maternal override,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to call it that. So I feel like maybe perhaps that is also maybe that's also a factor as well, like a protector kind of thing, where all that those other thoughts and emotions kind of just disappear in moments like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, I don't know if I've ever addressed this on a previous episode or not, but for me, it's like getting to know the child actually makes it easier for me to just do with like what you said, where the more paternal things step in, like the protector nature or whatever. And it's when you see a kid from afar or something like that where it's a little different, and where other feelings and thoughts could pop into your head. And I actually call it like a double-edged sword. It's like you sometimes avoid kids because you're worried about having those thoughts. But once you get to know a child, either, like you said, those protective natures and the nurturing natures step in and the other things go to the background, or you just find the kid annoying and just want to get away from them. So, but it's just, it's always a thing where I just weigh the pros and cons of it, and it's something that constantly goes in my head because I know I never want to put myself in a dangerous situation, and I don't think I ever would, but you just never know. But I before we did the decided to record this, I went back and listened to the podcast, the prevention podcast that I read the answers for Emma, and she was saying how she sometimes feels like because it's so understudied that there are women out there that who have this attraction, that sometimes she feels like her mind's playing tricks on her. If people are saying I don't even exist, am I really feeling those thoughts, or is that something that ever goes through your mind?
I would say that there is a level of denial that I believe that we all go through, all minor attracted persons go through. And mine was very brief. However, I have had the occasional thoughts where like I wonder if where I've wondered if it's all in my, if it's just all in my head or not, or maybe if I have something more closer to POCD. But I know now that I know now, and I'm very solid in the belief that I do have minor attraction. But, or I'm sorry, scratch that. I'm sorry for all the edits, but I am pretty firm in the belief that I am in fact attracted to minors. But it is also worth mentioning that one of my friends, she tends to go back and forth where maybe she believes that it's just her acting out her trauma versus whether she is actually attracted to minors or not. So there are other dynamics at play there, like you said.
Yeah, you bringing that up calls to attention something that they do at the Global Prevention Project when they have treatment with minor attracted people. They focus on what they call a biopsychosocial dynamic of a person's identity, and bio obviously means that it's there from birth, and and then the mental, and for me, when I first started realizing I had this attraction, I only knew that having this attraction led to sexually abusing children, and that because that's all the media portrays. And so because I knew I never wanted to do that or abuse a kid, I just couldn't understand why I had this attraction. So I searched high and low for the reasons why this could possibly be, and I try to see if there was abuse in my past or whatever. But then even through all the different things that I came up with, it still didn't change the fact that I had this attraction. It was more that I had to deal with it. I had to process it and, realize that it's just a part of me and not who I am. And I know who I am, that I know I don't want to ever harm a child. So just because I have this attraction doesn't mean that that will happen. So, and in doing these podcasts for almost 2 years now, that's like one of the main points I want to get across to the people who are uneducated. It's that attraction doesn't equal action. And it's so hard to believe that given all the stuff that's out there in the media. But, that's why I hope people honestly listen to these things and hear what we're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely believe that that stigma towards individuals, and especially individuals who are non-offending, like myself and yourself, I feel like the social stigma that's created by the media and public perceptions of pedophilia and what it really is, and mostly just misunderstanding how minor attraction functions. I feel like it's actually a detriment to the overall safety and well-being of not only children, especially children, but also the mental health and well-being of minor attracted persons themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like the negative social stigma surrounding that is very detrimental to that.
Yeah, the thing that I can't remember who I was talking to said this is that, when you mention that the children would definitely are the most important to protect and all that stuff, but someone was saying that we as a community of minor attracted people are demonized and made out to be monsters and all that, but we're human like everyone else. We were children once. We needed protecting too. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just to put a face to it, is that we're just there's still that societal image of the old man in the big white van coming to steal your kids and all that stuff. And well, look at here, there's a 40-something man, and probably you wouldn't even bat a glance at on the street, and a woman talking about minor attraction. I mean, it's like we need to, I really wish that both you and I could just release this as a video to make people understand, you probably know us, and it's just, we're not that creepy old man, so.
Right,
But,
exactly.
yeah. And so I know you and I are not the best on visiting the boards that people go to seek help for this, like VERPED and stuff like that. But I know that on VERPED, they actually have a separate section just dedicated to female pedophiles. And, you and I have been talking during this that you feel like it functions the same. So do you, not saying that your voice is the voice of all women pedophiles out there, but do you feel like that is a necessity to have a separate section like that on boards, like self-help boards like that?
I haven't fully formed an opinion on that yet.
Yeah.
I'm actually on the fence about it myself, but I guess here we go. I definitely feel like non-contact message boards are really important for the community, especially in regards to stigma. But I feel like at this time, maybe having a section for female maps is still relevant. But I also feel like there will come a day and come a time where we will maybe the community will evolve a little bit beyond that. And I think it's already starting to a little bit, because I think at this point we've all realized that there is no difference, and pedophilia and minor attraction, it functions just the same in men as it does in women. And while I feel like at this time, maybe having a female section can help dissolve some of the stereotypes and stigma, I do eventually believe that, while I do believe we will outgrow the need to understand and make a point for that stigma surrounding female maps, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I guess the reason why I brought it up, and sorry, it was such a hardball question to ask, is that, everyone's always fighting for equal rights. And, being a privileged white man, I know I don't have much to say, but I'm also, because I'm minor attracted, I do have some, not the same things as people who are heterosexual or homosexual out there, now. And so I guess what it was that, women have been fighting for equal rights forever. So I just didn't know if women felt like having a separate section was more offensive or actually was beneficial. That, I guess, is where I was going with that. Like, I just feel like some people could take it one way as like, oh, you're different from us, or, you don't have the same thought processes men pedophiles do. So I guess that's what I was thinking, was more on like the equal rights type thing of like whether or not it really was good to have that, because there are certain issues, just like there are women issues, that men will never understand. And it is good to have those separate communities for that. So I just wondered if it was along those lines, like, whereas, do you want to just be considered equal with everyone else, or are you glad that that section exists? That's, I think, what my main train of thought was on that. So sorry I threw you for a loop. So.
It's quite all right. I guess I did get a little ahead of myself there, but yeah, I'm actually rather neutral towards it being there, mostly because I feel like it's important for it to be discussed that women can also be attracted to minors, but I also feel like there's another side to it where we have to ask ourselves, like, why are we at a point where that's not common knowledge either? So but as far as just the sections like that existing on message boards, I would say I'm just neutral to them. Yeah. I've maybe responded to one post inside of one of those sections, but they aren't usually my go-to sections.
Yeah. I know, like, when I go on there and I see that women, section, it's almost like forbidding territory, just like, oh, because I'm a man, I can't go in there type of thing. And
no, not at all.
Yeah, I'm sure no one would like kick me out if I went in there and said hi, but it's just, it's funny. I actually, when we're talking about this, and it's a subject for another podcast, but it's something that popped in my head as we were discussing this. Like, I'm meeting more and more people that are maps that are married, and they are out to their significant others. And I know from some of the people I've talked to with that, it's sometimes difficult for that partner, even though they're loving and accepting of it, to fully understand it and try to grasp what that means and get the support they need. So I know there has been some small groups that have formed outside of VERPED that for partners of MAPS. And I'm almost wondering, like, maybe that would be a good idea to have that, like, a section in VERPED for that, you know, because I know the moderators can grant you access to what areas that you're allowed to view. So like for partners of MAPS, maybe that's the only section they're allowed to see. But not that we're hiding anything, but it's just that maybe that's the only thing they would want to see. So, and then even like with my mom, I know she's still desperately trying to get other parents of MAPS to contact her, because you know, she's so loving and accepting of my attraction. Like it's beyond measure of how much she accepts it. But I know she still struggles with it, and she would like to have the support, you know. So maybe there is like a VERPED subsection that could form for like all the other things. Like I said, it's going off topic and a topic for another podcast, but it just popped in my head. So, but,
oh no, I think you have a very valid point. I think something like that would be incredibly beneficial to the community.
Yeah. So, so was there like any other certain things that you wanted to talk about, that you wanted to address, like things that you feel people should know what it's like to be you?
Well, I mean, I want people to know that I'm really not any different than you. I have my own interests and hobbies, and I have friends, and I go out and I have fun, and I work, and I do all of the normal things that a normal person does. I just happen to be attracted to minors.
Do you, ever get, once like you're in a community like we're in, and you're in an accepted community that people know about your attraction and they're not going to judge you or what, there's still always that, I don't want to use the word stigma because that's the wrong word, but like because you're female, it's something different. So there's still like do you ever get to the point where you just want, even in the MAP community, people to just say, let's all just be one, and just because I'm female, I'm not like that, I'm not different?
I'll be honest with you. I've never once felt estranged or like I didn't relate to anyone. Even in workshops and group events, I've never once felt like I never once felt like I was being ostracized, or that maybe people felt like they had to be reserved around me or anything like that. So no, I don't feel like me being a woman has affected any of that. I like to think that I'm approachable, but
Well, I know when you and I first met, it was just like, I thought, oh, I'll have all these questions for her, like, what's it like to do this, or what's it like to be, but by the end of the weekend, it was just like, you were just one of the crowd, it was just, I realized that, like you said, you're no different, it's not some like mystical thing, it's this normal thing. And people who tuned into this podcast thinking that they were going to garner some big, huge revelation, I probably are disappointed. But
I mean, but also on that same note, that was kind of the point too, that there really is no difference, you know. We're all one and the same, and we all have the we all have the same struggles, and I think that that's really important for people to know. So,
and I also think, I hope that if there are any other female minor attracted people listening to that, just maybe heed your words saying, like, just come out and like be accepted, you know, because I think maybe some of them do feel like they can't come out because they're worried that, you know, they're gonna be put in to a special group, or, you know, whatever. Like, I don't know the right word, but it's just, I just want more and more people to realize that it is a thing, you know, and that, like you mentioned earlier, that maybe the only difference is that it doesn't affect you as much as it does men. And I think the main reason for that is men are, you know, stereotypically taught to be manly and and like, so here you are where you're having this attraction to children, and even if it is fully emotional, you know, most men are told not to be emotional. So that, and I think that's why men deal with it in a different way, you know, is that we're never taught to allow to express our feelings, whereas with women it's a little more easier to do that. So
yeah, for sure. And I see a lot of that changing now, as more and more people become aware of toxic masculinity, and the effects it has on young men as they get older. I feel like that has a lot, definitely has a lot to do with it, and that is a very valid statement.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, I not only dealing with this attraction, but just in general, the type of man I am. Like, I have always been emotional. I consider myself an empath, and so cry watching a commercial, you know. And so, like, I've always had to hide that side of me, and so yeah, it's, you know, it's definitely, I hate that toxic masculinity. I can never say that word, but yeah, it's just, yeah, I hope maybe this is another thing that will help change society for the better, is, you know, once more and more people understand what this attraction is, maybe that will hopefully get rid of some of that toxicity that's out there, you know.
Yeah, definitely. That's the idea. It's and it all comes back to one thing. We want, most of us want people to understand it better, so that there's earlier prevention with people who are attracted to minors, because it all comes back to one thing, and that's protecting children and keeping children safe. And that's the most important part of that, and that's the most important part of the work that you do and that I do. And I feel like that's the most important thing for people to understand, is that it all leads back to the number one: keeping children safe.
Yeah. And, like, you know, both of us started realizing our attraction around the same age. So, giving that age frame, we were kids ourselves. So, you know, and, you know, you think of all the teen suicides out there, you wonder how many of them were for this over being gay or being this normal bullying. You wonder how many teens decide they can't deal with it because of having this attraction. So, you know, that's definitely Another reason why I do this is I want people to know that it's okay to have this attraction, and there are support systems way more than there were when you and I were that age. So it's definitely a good time to be living, So
Yeah, definitely. I know before, or I'm sorry. Yeah, definitely. I know that before I had friends of my own that were also attracted to minors, I had considered suicide on multiple occasions. So there's no doubt in my mind that perhaps a lot of that could be prevented um, just by society in general having a better understanding of minor attraction and how it actually works, and the fact that if you maybe try to talk to people earlier in life, maybe they'd be less likely to offend or commit suicide or um, any number of things.
yeah. And it's just, if you are someone listening to this and have had those thoughts, just know that there's support out there. And if you're in immediate crisis right now, I'll definitely put some resources in the comments that you can use to get the help you need right away. So, but I don't want to end on such a dark note. So, not that that's not important to talk about, but so I know something that you maybe wanted me to shout out about, you're considering possibly starting your own channel up or something like that. Is that something that you're considering doing?
Yeah, definitely. And if you don't mind, I would absolutely love a shout out for a future channel of mine. That'd be really awesome, Elliot.
Yeah. Once it's created, or I'll definitely update the comments and link your channel, and maybe we can do a launch podcast talking about what you're planning on it being like. You could come back on, or any other subject matter you want to come on and discuss before you decide to do that. So well, I know we went all over the place, but I think for the most part, I definitely think we got across what I thought we could in this time frame. So yeah, so I want to thank you for coming on. I'm glad we finally got to do this. So,
yeah, no problem. I know we've been trying to get together and do this for quite some time, and it's been a huge pleasure coming on here and talking to you, and I feel like we really got a lot. I feel like we really got a lot of good points across.
Yeah, me as well. So, well, have a good rest of your evening or day, depending on when someone's listening to this. So, talk to you soon.
As we wrap up this episode of Maps Journey, we hope that our conversation has shed light on the unique experiences of female minor attracted persons. We thank our guest, Emily, for sharing her story with us, and our host, Elliot, for his sensitivity and expertise in navigating this complex topic. It is crucial that we continue to approach this subject with an open mind, and a willingness to learn from the experiences of those who face this attraction. By creating a more compassionate and understanding society, we can provide support and resources for individuals who experience these feelings. We encourage our listeners to remember that listening is understanding, and we must strive to create a world where all individuals, regardless of their attractions, feel valued and supported. Join us on our next episode as we continue to explore the journey of MAPS and the challenges they face.